The premiers of Alberta and BC have been sparring over the last week on the issue of pipelines. We spoke with digital strategist Cole Hogan, who broke down the debate for us.
Just to back up a little bit, what's happened here so far is the Alberta government and Premier Danielle Smith have proposed this pipeline project to the West Coast. BC NDP Premier David Eby has opposed this project on what I would argue is pretty ideological grounds. And so far, there's a lot of things that are in the way in terms of federal jurisdiction, like Bill C-69, the tanker ban, the emissions cap. And we've seen David Eby's response so far, which has been, I think, pretty beholden to the radical environmental left wing of his party. Others have called it the mud hut wing of the BC NDP. So I think I kind of have to agree with Premier Danielle Smith that David Eby's opposition to this pipeline project is un-Canadian and unconstitutional, because at a time when we need to get Canadian energy moving, we can't have any premier or any political party holding Canada back.
We also asked Cole for his view on Eby's comments about how pipelines threaten the social license.
Well, I think David Eby's making it up. There's never been more social license for pipelines across the country. Even in Quebec, there's majority support for pipelines. And, what I think is interesting, too, is we're seeing NDP Premier David Eby, sort of invoke Donald Trump as a reason why British Columbia can't support this pipeline. You can't pretend to be on Team Canada and then block the natural resource sector projects from going through. So David Eby has said, the reason why we can't support this project, them being the NDP premier, his party, and his premiership, is because of the threat of Donald Trump and tariffs. When in reality, that's the exact reason why we need to get this project moving, so we're less reliant on the United States and we can get our own energy moving and, hopefully revive the country's finances.
And lastly, we discussed what happens next if the debate cannot be resolved and if Ottawa should intervene.
Well, here's the thing. Pipeline projects are federal jurisdiction. In the Constitution, any natural resource project that crosses multiple, provincial borders is, by the Constitution, in the federal government's control. So Mark Carney can make this project happen whenever he wants, and there's not a thing that David Eby can do about it. So it'll be interesting to watch how that relationship unfolds. But what's also interesting here is there seems to be a different level of support for the natural resource sector among provincial versions of the NDP. In some provinces, there are versions of the NDP that know that the natural resource sector pays the bills in this country, and it pays for social programs, and it pays for healthcare. I'm not sure why the BC NDP premier doesn't get that.